Somewhere in this ocean, there is a great white shark, and she is afraid. She is not afraid of the divers. She is not afraid of the boats. She is not afraid of anything in the water that swims slower than she does. She is afraid of the only thing in the ocean that hunts her on purpose. The orca, the killer whale, the animal that is not a whale at all. She is the largest predator that has ever lived in an unbroken line of predators. She hunts in groups. She remembers faces. She speaks a language. And nothing in the ocean is bigger than her family. This is the orca. And this morning, in this cold gray sea, she is leading her family home. Most people call her a killer whale. Most people are wrong. She is a dolphin, the largest dolphin on Earth. A bottlenose grown to the size of a city bus, with a brain to match. Her cousins are the spinner dolphin, the spotted dolphin, the bottlenose you have seen in photographs. She is built on the same blueprint. She just kept growing. A grown male is 30 feet long, 6 tons. His dorsal fin alone is taller than a tall man. A grown female is smaller, 23 feet, 4 tons. Her fin is curved instead of straight. And in her family, she is in charge. They live in every ocean on Earth, from the cold edges of the Arctic ice down to the warm shallows of the equator. There is no salt water on this planet that does not, somewhere, hold a pod of them. Her body is mostly muscle, wrapped around a long, warm core. Black on top, white on the belly, a gray patch shaped like a saddle behind the dorsal fin. A white eye patch behind each eye, like a thumbprint. From above, looking down, she is almost the same color as the deep water. A diving bird flying over the surface might never see her. From below, looking up, her belly is the same pale color as the sky through the water. A seal swimming under her might never see her either. The dark on top hides her from above. The light on the bottom hides her from below. The same trick a shark uses. The same trick a tuna uses. She just does it bigger. Her tail is called a fluke. It does not move side to side like a fish. It moves up and down, like a dolphin's, like a whale's. Slow, deliberate strokes. She can hold 35 miles an hour in the right water, faster than any boat on a calm sea. Inside her head, behind that white eye patch, is the second largest brain on Earth. Only the sperm whale's brain is bigger, and the sperm whale is twice her size. By weight, her brain is 4 times the size of yours. By complexity, in the parts that handle social life and emotion and memory, it may be more developed than yours too. She sees through her ears. She sends out a stream of clicks from the round dome of fat in her forehead. The clicks travel through the water. They bounce off the bodies of the fish, off the rocks on the bottom, off the underside of the ice above her, off the boats and the seals and the salmon and the kelp. Then she listens to the echoes, and from those echoes, she builds a picture of the ocean around her, in the pitch dark, through fog, at 300 feet. She can see the heartbeat of a fish she has never touched. A pod is not a group. A pod is a family. An orca pod is the oldest matriarchy on Earth. The grandmother is in front. Behind her swim her daughters. Behind them swim her grandchildren. Behind them swim her sons. Her sons stay with her, for their entire lives. The grown males, 30 feet long, 6 tons, apex predators with no equal in the sea. They never leave their mothers. A young orca calf stays beside its mother for years. A young female may stay beside her for decades. A young male will swim beside her until the day one of them dies. Nobody emigrates. Nobody is exiled. Nobody is left behind. In a healthy pod, there is no such thing as alone. The oldest female in the pod is the matriarch. She is the one who knows the coast. She is the one who knows where the salmon will be in March, where the herring will run in July, which bay is safe in a storm, which beach is good for hunting seals, which channel the fishing boats use. All of that knowledge lives inside her head, and she shares it every day by leading. The pod follows her. Her daughters watch the path she chooses. Her grandchildren learn the route by swimming it. She may be 80 years old. She may be 90. The oldest orca anyone has been able to verify lived past 100. And after she can no longer have her own calves, she does not slow down. She does not retire. She becomes more important, not less. Because now her whole job is remembering. There are only 5 animals on Earth that we know go through menopause. Humans, short-finned pilot whales, belugas, narwhals, and her. She stops having calves in her 40s. She lives another 50 years. Biologists used to ask why. Why would evolution build a body that outlives its own ability to reproduce? Every other animal on Earth, when reproduction ends, the body ends shortly after. And then they watched her. They watched her lead the pod to the salmon. They watched her share food with her grandchildren in a lean year. They watched the pods whose grandmothers had died, and they watched those pods struggle. A grandmother orca is the difference between a pod that survives a hard year and a pod that does not. Her body keeps going because her family needs what is inside her head. Every pod on Earth has its own language. Not a dialect of a single orca language, a real, distinct language. A pod from the waters off Vancouver Island does not sound like a pod from off the coast of Norway. A pod from Patagonia does not sound like a pod from the Antarctic ice. The northern residents off British Columbia have one accent. The southern residents, just 100 miles south, have another. And the calves of each pod learn only the calls of their own family. A calf babbles, like a human baby. Long strings of nonsense sound, trying out the shapes its mother makes. By the time the calf is 2 years old, it can hold a full conversation in the pod's language. By the time it is 5, it has its name, in their language, that the pod calls only it. Names, accents, a culture passed mother to daughter, mother to son, for 1,000 generations under the same patch of sea. An orca pregnancy lasts 17 months. A calf is born in the open ocean, tail first, 8 feet long, 300 pounds, eyes already open. Its skin is orange against the cold blue water. Newborn fat shows through pale skin that will not turn to true black and white for weeks. Its mother and its aunt lift it to the surface for its first breath. The aunt may have been at this birth for hours, swimming beside the mother, keeping pace, keeping her steady, keeping her calm. Now both of them swim under the calf, holding it up, until it learns to breathe. The calf does not sleep that first night. Newborn orcas cannot sleep. They have not learned how to keep swimming and breathe at the same time. So for the first month, the mother does not sleep either. She swims beside her calf. She keeps it close. She teaches it, one breath at a time, how to live. And the rest of the pod swims slower around them. Until the calf is strong, the whole family waits. There is more than one kind of orca. In the Pacific Northwest, the resident orcas eat fish. Salmon, mostly. The big runs that come up the coast each summer. They live in large, noisy, chatty pods. They sing constantly. They share food. Their cousins, the transients, live in the same waters and eat nothing of the kind. Transient orcas eat mammals. Seals, sea lions, porpoises, sometimes other whales. They live in small, quiet pods of 2 or 3. They do not chatter. They are stealth predators. The seals would hear them coming, so they go silent. And out past the continental shelf, in deep water nobody travels, live the offshores. Small, fast. They eat sharks. Their teeth are worn down to nubs from the rough sandpaper skin of the prey they spend their lives chasing. A resident pod hunts salmon the way a human family hunts dinner. Everyone is involved. The grandmother knows where the run is. The mothers herd the fish toward the calves. The young orcas practice. They use sound to drive the fish into shallow water. They use their tails to stun. They use their teeth, in the end, only for the last second. A grown orca eats 500 pounds of salmon in a day. A Chinook salmon is 40 pounds, sometimes 50. The math is heavy. She catches the fish, and she breaks it open with her teeth. She takes the rich, oily meat for herself, and she shares the rest. Her calf gets a piece. Her old mother gets a piece. A young ant who has not had a good day gets a piece. Resident orcas share food. Every day. Across generations. It is one of the things they do that science can find no other animal doing the same way. A transient pod hunts the way a thief moves through a sleeping house. They go silent. No clicks, no calls, no songs. For hours at a time, a transient pod will swim in total acoustic stillness, surfacing only to breathe. A seal hears a resident pod from a mile away and ignores them. A seal does not hear a transient pod at all. They drift up to a rock where the seals are basking, and they wait. They watch which seals enter the water. They watch the patterns. They time the surf. And when the moment is right, one of them breaks formation, sprints, and is gone again before the seal on the rock has finished turning its head. Only after the meal is done, after the seal is gone, do the transients begin to talk again. The hunt was silent. The celebration is not. 8,000 miles south, on the ice of the Antarctic Peninsula, a different pod has invented a different way to hunt. Type B orcas in the Antarctic hunt seals that are lying on floating sheets of ice. The seal is safe on the ice. The orca cannot climb. So they make a wave. 3 orcas swim shoulder to shoulder, parallel, picking up speed. They duck under the ice at the last second. The wave they push surges up and over the floe, and the seal goes with it, into the water, into the waiting. They learned this technique somewhere. They taught it to their daughters. Their daughters taught it to their daughters. It is a tradition, specific to that one corner of the Antarctic, specific to that pod's family. Other orca pods, in other oceans, do not know how, because no one in their family ever showed them. On a single beach in Patagonia, on the coast of Argentina, a different pod has invented something more dangerous. The beach is called Punta Norte. The orcas of Punta Norte have learned to hunt on land. They beach themselves on purpose. They wait for a wave, they ride it up the sand, they grab a sea lion pup from the surf line, and they let the next wave wash them back out to sea. If the timing is wrong, the orca strands. Hundreds of pounds of body, drying in the sun, unable to push back into the water. So the older orcas teach the younger ones. Slowly, in safe waves, without prey, year after year. A young orca may spend 3 years practicing the beaching technique before it tries it for real. The mother brings it to the beach again and again. She rides up beside it. She shows it which wave to take. No other orca pod on Earth hunts this way. Only the pod that lives off Punta Norte. It is their inheritance. It is the song their family sings on the sand. Off the coast of South Africa, in the cold, green water of the Western Cape, 2 orcas have changed the ocean. Their names, given to them by the scientists who track them, are Port and Starboard. They are male. They are brothers. Their dorsal fins are bent, one to the left and one to the right. The names follow the lean of their fins. They eat sharks, mako sharks, bronze whaler sharks, 7-gill sharks, and the one that is supposed to be the apex predator of that coast, the great white. Port and Starboard work as a pair. One of them flips the shark upside down with a hit from its body, and in the trance the shark falls into, the trance every shark falls into when you turn it over, the second one moves in. They eat the liver. They leave the rest. A great white shark liver is rich, oil-heavy, full of energy. The carcasses wash up on the beach with a single clean wound under one flank. Since these 2 arrived in the Cape, the great whites have left. Whole stretches of coast where the sharks used to circle, empty. They went somewhere else. The 2 orcas changed the map. Off the southern coast of Australia, where the continental shelf falls away into deep water, there is a place called the Bremer Canyon. Every January, the orcas of Bremer Canyon come together. Dozens of them, sometimes more than 100, from pods that do not normally travel together. And in the deep canyon below them, sometimes, They find a blue whale. The blue whale is the largest animal that has ever lived, larger than any dinosaur, larger than anything we have evidence of in fossils, a heart the size of a small car. And in the Bremer Canyon, 100 orcas can take one down. They work it like a wolf pack works an elk. They split the calf from the mother if there is a calf. They take turns. They keep the whale from surfacing. They drown the largest animal in the history of the planet. They play. Adult orcas play games with floating kelp. They push it with their noses. They drape it across their backs. They wear it like a hat. One summer in the late 1980s, a southern resident orca began carrying a dead salmon on her head, balanced just behind her blowhole. Within a week, every orca in her pod was doing the same thing. Within a month, orcas in the neighboring pod were doing it. The fad spread. It lasted a summer. It went out of style. It is gone. 40 years later, in 2025, biologists watched the salmon hat fad come back. The orcas had remembered it, or invented it again, or learned it from an old aunt who had been a calf the first time it happened. Nobody knows. What we know is that she has fashions. She has fads. She has things her family does because they are fun, and not because they help anyone live. When she wants to move fast, she can hit 35 miles an hour. When she wants to look, she rises straight up out of the water, the top of her head clearing the surface, her eyes scanning the deck of a fishing boat, or the top of an ice floe, or a beach where a sea lion is. The behavior has a name: spy hopping. She can hold the pose for 30 seconds. A 6-ton animal, vertical in the water, balanced on her tail, watching. When she wants to land hard, she launches her whole body clear of the surface, sometimes 20 feet up, and falls back. The slam is loud enough to be heard a mile underwater. It stuns fish. It scares away rivals. It teaches her calves what their body can do. When she wants to talk, she slaps her tail on the water. A pectoral fin slap. A fluke slap. A breach. Every one of those gestures is a sentence to her family. Her body is her voice. Her voice is her hunting tool. Her hunting tool is her family's culture. Everything she does has more than one job. She has to sleep, but she cannot stop swimming, and she cannot stop breathing on purpose. So she sleeps with half her brain at a time. One side of her brain rests, the other side keeps her body moving, keeps her tail pumping, keeps the soft, slow breath rising up through the blowhole. After a few hours, she switches. The rested side wakes up. The tired side goes to sleep. The whole pod does this together. They line up close. They slow their pace. They surface as a unit. They breathe as a unit. They move through the dark like a single, long body breathing in the cold. One eye stays open, the eye on the awake side. She is never fully asleep. She is never fully alone. A calf cannot do this yet, so its mother does not really sleep at all for the first month while her calf is small. She holds half her brain quiet and her body slow, and she swims beside her child, and she waits for it to grow. Inside the head of the matriarch is a map. She knows every cove on 1,000 miles of coastline. She knows where the Chinook salmon return in May, where the chum return in October. She knows the underwater shape of a bay she has not visited in 20 years. She knows the call signs of the pods she has met. She remembers who her mother greeted and who her mother avoided. She has friends she has not seen in a decade that she will recognize again the moment they meet in deep water. She has buried her own children. She has watched her grandchildren leave the womb. She has felt the ocean grow louder and quieter and louder again in the lifetime of a single sea. The boats came. The fish thinned. The water warmed. The new shipping lanes opened. The cold seasons started arriving later. She knew all of it because she was there. And every day she leads. Slow. Steady. Because she remembers, when no one else does, where the food is, and where the calm bay is, and how to find them home. The light is going out of the sky. The pod has gathered, all 8 of them, in a quiet bay on the lee side of the wind. The matriarch is in the middle. The calves are tucked beside their mothers. The grown sons are around the edges. Their breath rises in tall, slow columns of mist that hang in the cold air and drift away with the tide. The water is glass. The mountains are turning to silhouettes. Tomorrow she will lead them out again, into the long water, where the salmon are running, and the shark is afraid, and her grandchildren are learning her language one breath at a time. Tonight, she rests, half her mind asleep, half her mind here with all of them, listening to the cold and quiet sea. Sleep well.